So we're exactly 1 year away from the next big general election, and it appears that the opposition or the non-BJP political parties in the country are beginning to organize themselves. Here's my take on everything that has happened so far on the political front, and also what the possible challenges or successes might be for such an opposition front. To begin with, let's see what's happened today. Now, we know that the Prime Minister is inaugurating the new Parliament building on the 28th of this month, and opposition parties have slammed the government for not inviting the President to inaugurate this building. Now, there is a whole argument on whether or not their stand is valid, but what I'm picking up from this is that 19 opposition parties today came together and put out a joint statement in unison saying that they're boycotting that inauguration of Parliament, which means that they have started to reach an agreement and they're working together. The other thing that happened was the union government brought in an ordinance to overturn the Supreme Court judgment about the Delhi government. Remember that the Supreme Court had decided that powers to run the administrative services or the IAS officers in the Delhi government should reside with the Delhi government and not with the central government or the LG. Now, the central government has overturned this decision by bringing in an ordinance. But this ordinance will have to be passed by Parliament the next time Parliament actually convenes, or it will lapse. The Aam Aadmi Party, Arvind Kejriwal, has actually been meeting with several opposition parties from across the country asking for their support so that when this bill actually shows up in Parliament, they have the support of all the non-BJP members of Parliament in stopping that. Almost everybody has agreed with them, except the Congress, incidentally. And I'll come back to that. We also know the big Karnataka elections that we talked about a week ago has given the Congress a big boost. The Congress made that massive win, and during the swearing-in, there was a show of strength of non-BJP parties. M.K. Stalin, Nitish Kumar, Sharad Pawar, both the Abdullahs, Mehbooba Mufti, Tejasvi Yadav, Jayant Singh, Kamal Hassan, Sitaram Yechuri and D. Raja were all on stage, showing that there is unity among the opposition before that big election. Mamata Banerjee couldn't attend, but she put out a statement congratulating the Congress and saying that the Congress is strong. The other thing that is happening, which is very interesting, is Nitish Kumar, the Chief Minister of Bihar, has actually been traveling across the country and organizing the opposition before the election. My colleague Pradeep is calling this the Opposition Jodo Yatra, but this is effectively what he has said he's doing. He's said he's trying to mobilize as many non-BJP parties onto a single platform as possible so that they fight the next election together. He has met Arvind Kejriwal, he's met the Congress President Kharge and Rahul Gandhi, he's met Mamata Banerjee, Hemant Soren, Sitaram Yechuri, Uddhav Thackeray and Sharad Pawar. In fact, Nitish Kumar was sitting with Uddhav Thackeray when that Supreme Court judgment came. He met Arvind Kejriwal immediately after the ordinance came. So he's sort of showing up there like a senior statesman offering his support in times of trouble. There's some argument and some buzz about the fact that he's positioning himself as the prime ministerial candidate of this new sort of opposition bloc. Now, he's personally denied it, but consider the fact that he's a very popular leader. He is Hindi speaking, which is important when you consider, this team that they're putting together. He's also sort of already said that he's handing over Bihar to his Deputy Chief Minister, Tejasvi Yadav. So he's looking really at larger challenges on the national front. And unlike the others in this, in this entire list who are still fighting battles within their states, he seems to have control over Bihar as well. So he's sort of positioning himself as that leader. In terms of who the other opposition leaders could be, Sharad Pawar has responded to the fact that he's not contesting the next election. So there's no question at all of him being the prime ministerial candidate. The one person who's not in the mix here is Naveen Patnaik, who stayed away from this entire anti-BJP front, let's call them, and said that he's not concerned as of now and he's not going to comment on it. So this is where everything is. But here's the challenge going forward, right? And the challenge is in the Congress party led by Mallikarjun Kharge, with Rahul Gandhi sitting next to him as he has been doing in all of the important meetings. Now, the Congress party, like I told you, after Bharat Jodo Yatra and the Karnataka elections, has sort of straightened its back a little bit. It's got a little bit of confidence and spring in its step. The opposition parties, from what we understand, want to reach an understanding where they can field a single candidate in many of the Lok Sabha seats. Now, this has not worked out in the past because the Congress prefers to contest most of the seats on its own. It has not really successfully managed to crack any seat sharing agreement with, say, Mamata Banerjee in the past. With many of its other allies, it winds up contesting on its own. What happens when the Congress does that is that you have the BJP, then you have the Congress, and then you have the one regional party. So what Nitish Kumar is calling the non-BJP votes then get split between the Congress and the regional party in question. And this is what eventually gives the BJP that clear run between the two, because it's cutting the votes. And this is fundamentally what it breaks down to. Will the Congress, which is clearly at this point the biggest party after the BJP because of the number of states that it runs, because of the Karnataka elections, because it has the ability to sort of be the leader in that opposition. Will it actually stand as the leader in that opposition? Will it agree to sharing seats, or is it going to run on its own? That is really where that big question comes, because if they're not able to reach an agreement, they're going to wind up all contesting separately. They will, and then coming together after the elections at a point when the Prime Minister is looking extremely strong. It's a question of whether or not the Congress can actually sit down and cut those deals in power sharing, as this particular non-BJP front might require it to do. That's the development so far, but I assume that over the next 1 year, we're going to see a lot more power broking and backroom talking between the opposition parties to create this sort of anti-BJP front to be able to come together in some way and put up a big contest.